Yes. Hello. I'm Chang-Ok. Today, I will be giving a lecture on the topic of emotional labor. Honestly, I find giving lectures to be the most fun and enjoyable for me. In my everyday life, I'm not as cheerful or entertaining as I am when I'm giving lectures. In fact, I'm actually a bit more serious, more earnest, or I get angry more often. To our staff. So my staff told me, Director, please don't think of us as employees, but as people who have come to listen to your lecture. You are always nice to them. This is what my staff always half-jokingly tells me. But do you know when it's hard for me? It's when I'm not feeling happy, but I'm asked to give a cheerful lecture. I'm sure it's the same for you as well. When you're happy and excited, saying hello to a customer or welcome to our store isn't difficult at all. When you're happy and doing work you want to do, your voice naturally comes out like this. Hello? Welcome to our store. But if I have to keep responding like that over and over when I don't want to, and it's not what I wish to do, my voice comes out like this.
Hello. I'm having a hard time too. You're not the only one struggling.
In my own perspective, emotional labor is like a disc inside a person's spine. So, I think it truly plays an essential role in absorbing and easing shocks. But for me, I started this work as a profession. I did it because I liked it, but here's the problem. The moment when people experience pain is, first, it's when they have to do something they don't want to do. Second, it's when you want to do something but you can't. And in my case, even though I wanted to do it, doing it too much became overwhelming. And maybe because I was emotionally struggling, during that period I went under 2 disc procedures. And while I was in a wheelchair like this, a company asked me to give a lecture that had been scheduled in advance. So every time I spoke while sitting in the wheelchair, my back hurt. But they said I still had to do it. So I said, damn it! Without realizing it, I blurted out a curse word. Is this what it means to be in debt? But I'm a professional and I got paid. So of course I had to do it, so I gave lectures in a wheelchair for an entire week. And then my emotions just completely collapsed. I developed a herniated disc and was completely out of it mentally as well. The doctor said this to me. Sir, the reason your body hurts like this is, it's a signal your body is sending you. So please listen to what your body is telling you. Right now, it's going on strike. So I asked, Doctor, what should I do now? The disc, you can't heal it. You need to train the surrounding muscles and live with it for the rest of your life. So the doctor introduced me to a personal trainer who specializes in rehabilitation. Well, they didn't call me instructor or professor anymore. Of course, they didn't know who I was, so this is what they called me. Sir? That's how they addressed me. So I said, yes, yes. And then they said, while standing upright, tighten your core and do 12 of these. So I started doing it, but after 8 reps, I just couldn't go on. So I said, sir, I can't do it. But he just said, keep going. So once again, I muttered out a curse word. Then he said, oh, why do you always say such nice things on Sabasi, but come here and curse so much? But when people are put in extreme situations, they tend to curse a lot. And then, as I was lifting, I got to 10 reps and just couldn't lift anymore. Then he said this to me. Sir, I really can't do this anymore, I said, and he replied, then just hold on to it. I'll support you. Just hold on. Even just holding on uses your strength. So it got so hard that my eyes started to close, and then they said to me, open your eyes, sir. So everyone, when people are exhausted, their eyes close. When you're struggling, you can't see how to go on with life. At that moment, he said this to me. Open your eyes and straighten your posture. And just hold on. So I really gave it my all, as if my life depended on it, and then he said this to me. Look, sir, I only pretended to hold you up. You did both things yourself just now. Now, when it comes to exercise and rehabilitation therapy, only when you push yourself to do 1 or 2 more reps after you feel like you absolutely can't go on. That's when you actually build your strength. But most people don't really exercise to the point of exhaustion. And secondly, when it gets tough, they just stop right there. So basically, all they've done is warm up and then they're finished. But you have to push yourself to do 1 or 2 more reps when you feel emotionally or mentally that you can't go on. Only those extra reps will actually become your strength. However, if you try to do that alone, since you're already in a weakened state, you could end up getting hurt. That's why I provided you with psychological support and reassurance. So, sir, would you have to renew your membership or not? So I thought, wow, this person is really impressive. And convinced by his thorough logic, I ended up signing up for a 3-month extension. But to me, what he said seemed to go beyond just rehabilitation and exercise. It felt like it was about people in general. In my view, just as physical labor is noble, emotional labor is also something noble. However, there are people, especially among those who are strong-willed or younger, who dislike putting their emotions to work. But like physical labor or intellectual work, emotional labor is absolutely necessary for human relationships and society. But a problem has arisen. We've done so much of that labor that our emotional disc has become herniated. So what should we do at that point? In my opinion, we can recover through rehabilitation and by relying on the surrounding muscles to help us stand up again. In that moment, what's needed is to do 1 or 2 more things when you feel like it's getting tough. But doing that alone can be dangerous. Because if it gets too hard, your form can break down, your eyes might close, and you could drop the dumbbell and have an accident. So who do we need at that time? Is it a personal trainer? Personally, I would like to define that personal trainer as a friend. A friend isn't someone who shares your religion, or is the same age, or joined the company at the same time, or is in the same grade or class. No. A friend is somebody who carries a bit of your sorrow on their own back. And it's to those people that you talk about it, that you're having a hard time. Then those people, they shouldn't just lift it up for you. They just need to support you with a sense of psychological security. If you really want to possess truly powerful emotions, I think when things feel tough, you need to take on 1 or 2 more. But if you try to do it alone, you can really get hurt. That's why I think we need friends. Ask that friend to support you, even just a little. And whether it's a friend or a parent, if they just lift it up for you, it won't actually make you stronger. It would be better if they could just support you a little. As for me? Well, it's not something to be ashamed of, but last year the emotional labor became so intense and overwhelming for me that I developed some mental health issues. Everyone, today is actually my 10th time speaking at Sabasi. You guys are not surprised at all, as expected. No, I don't want to get applauded for this. So the reason I'm telling you this is because after appearing on Sabasi 10 times, I started to feel a certain type of pressure. Because while it's nice to be recognized by people, I was planning to visit a psychiatrist due to my mental health issues, and I thought, what if that person recognizes me? That's the kind of thought that crossed my mind. Well, hello. I'm here because I'm having some mental health issues. Oh, I'm a Sabasi fan. Then what am I supposed to do? So I couldn't bring myself to go to a big university hospital, and instead I made an appointment at a private clinic. Fortunately, the receptionist didn't recognize me. But, when people are really struggling, since I've studied voice and communication to some extent, I can tell just from a single word whether I'll be able to have a proper consultation with someone or not. So if I said, "Hello, I'm here for some issues like this," at that moment, if the person said, "Oh, what specifically is bothering you? If this is your first time at our clinic, please fill this out." If they had spoken to me in that kind of tone, I think I would have started healing right from there. But as I carefully entered, the doctor said,
"What brings you here?"
in a blunt way. So I thought, this isn't it. Can I really get a proper consultation at this hospital? There was a black desktop computer in front, and the doctor, who looked to be in his mid-50s, was typing on the keyboard and said this to me, without seeing me, and said, "Why did you come here?" So I thought, this isn't it. So I said, yes? "Well, I came because I've been having a hard time emotionally." Then he asked, "Specifically, how are you struggling?" "I can't sleep properly at night, and I feel like my chest is tightening a bit." But on the keyboard he is typing,
Chest tightening.
and then proceeded to say things like, "I made a typo." He kept doing things like that, and I was just, this isn't it. Are there any other symptoms? Well, I'm not supposed to. But if I had 2 lives, to be honest, I really feel like I probably want to let at least one of them take a rest. And just pause for a little while by now, honestly.
Wants to die.
And I wondered, why is he doing this? A thought crossed my mind then, as I was leaving the hospital. Everyone, our emotions, myself included, all of you and everyone, if our discs are damaged, we can be so shocked that we suddenly collapse, end up in a wheelchair, or even become unable to stand up at all. But at that point, they say the problem can't be solved. The very best we can do is to prevent the problem from getting worse than before. But they say all you can do is stop the problem from getting bigger. So, how do you prevent it from getting worse in those situations? They say you have to show your emotions on your face. I can't sleep. When I said that, and if the doctor did this, it's tough, isn't it? These days, whether you're young or old, everyone seems to be having a hard time. Yeah, I mean, just how hard must it have been for a young person to have thoughts like that? If I had heard those words that day, I think I would have broken down in complete tears right in front of the doctor. Tears, They say that tears are like the vapor of all the negative emotions. Depression, fear, pain, and sadness inside your heart turning into water and falling when it meets warm sunlight. It's the rainy season these days. It feels like everyone has all kinds of dampness inside their hearts. Fear, sadness, and the feeling of being rejected, and including all kinds of other negative emotions too. However, when this vapor meets warm sunlight, it inevitably turns into water and releases all the stress hormones inside us out of our bodies. I think that warm sunlight is like the expressions on people's faces or the feeling of empathy we share. But I think that feeling also arises when we have some space in our own hearts. But from what I see, the person who treats someone harshly usually treats themselves the harshest. Since you're so hard on myself, maybe that's why you want to receive more comfort from others than you actually need. Someone performed sacred physical labor to build this building, and the chairs we're sitting on, all the equipment we're using right now, someone did sacred physical labor for all of it. And emotional labor too is a very important job that helps build the world. But depending on how we care for those emotions when they are hurt, we can end up with even stronger feelings than before. Since life is not something we live for a very long time, I believe that people's lives are extremely precious, regardless of our circumstances. When you think people are precious, you take care of them. I hope that by caring for our hearts, by caring for our minds, we can become healthier. Thank you.